Hello everyone and welcome back. It's your boy Cyber Warrior. This is Cyber Warrior Studios and we're here for Tech Tuesday. Now, the Cyber Overlords have generously allowed me to come back here and teach you a little bit more about Linux. Once again, we're going through Linux basics for hackers. There's going to be some changes along the way because there are certain things in the book that are no longer available in Kali, like Snort. You can still install it if you want, but it's no longer in the repos. You have to go about it a different way, which we're not going to do. So we're going to be utilizing a different file in order to follow along with these commands. Also, I'm going to make some additional changes just because some of the commands they say in there do not function as intended. Ran across this problem prepping this course, so I'm going to let you in on a few little secrets of how to fix what is no longer working for as old as this book is. So, without further ado, let's not disappoint these cyber overlords and let's get into it. Now, today, we're already logged into our Kali instance, we're already logged in as root, and like I said, we're going to change up a little bit on the file we're going through, so if you've picked up Linux Basics for Hackers by OccupyTheWeb, and you're going along with us, we are not going to be using the snort.conf file, we are going to be using the proxy chains file, so just so you're aware. Without further ado, the first command they want you to learn about is cat. All right, which we did cover a little bit last week, so if you haven't checked it out, go ahead, check out last week's course. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to go to cat and Etsy. Whoa, come on. proxychains4.conf. We're going to hit enter. As you can see, it prints out the file. Simple enough. If you wanted to see a regular file, we could do cat Cyber Warrior Studios and go enter. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. All right. So that's a smaller file, prints it on the screen. Cool. All right, so that's pretty easy, right? Cat shows us the file, makes sense. But what if we only wanted to see the top of the file? All right, the next thing you could use is head. So if we do head, Etsy, proxychains4, this is gonna give us the first 10 lines in this particular file. All right, just the first 10. And that's by default. But what if you wanted to see more? What if you wanted to see, I don't know, first 20 lines? Well, then you'd go over here and you would do head-20, and that'll allow us to see the first 20 lines in this exact same file. Nice. All right, so now we can see the first 10, 20, 25 lines of a file. And if you're wondering why you would do that, maybe you know what you're looking for is in the very beginning. Maybe it's the intro, it's the help, whatever it is. Then you can utilize that, and you don't have to worry about sifting through an entire file. But what if what if the information you want is at the end of a file? Well, then there's a fun little program called tail, and then for there we're going to do Etsy proxychains4, and that's going to give us the last 10 lines of the file. Awesome. All right, good news. So we can get 10 lines, but what if we wanted 20? Well, same thing as head, you'd put the -20 there, and now we have the last 20 lines. All right, so we've looked at how to read a file, how to get the first 10, 20 lines, how to get the last 10 and 20 lines. But what if we wanted the number of lines in a file altogether? Well, what would we do then? Well, there's another command called NL. So NL will allow you to go here and actually number all the lines. But here's a little caveat to that, and this is where we're going to differentiate from the book. So NL by default is only going to show you the lines with actual text. Any blank lines are not going to get numbered. As you can see here, we go from 114 to 115, which for your purposes, that may be good, but otherwise, for what we're gonna do here in a second, it's not the best. So before we go through and we look and for a certain word, actually we can look for it now. So we're gonna use NL again because it's gonna lead us into our next command, but this time we're gonna change the style and we're gonna say all lines, all right? If we do all lines, and even the blank lines are going to get numbered. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do proxychains4. But this time, we're going to grep, so we're going to search for a certain term. And that term is going to be DNAT. Now, understand, when you're using grep at its most basic of options, it will look for every instance of those characters you type in. I am looking for specifically DNAT. So I get all those instances of DNAT, and then I get DNAT because DNAT is still in that word. All right. Now there's different options and ways that you can go about making sure it only shows exactly what you're looking for, but for our purposes, that's what it is. Now, What if we wanted line 120, which is examples for DNAT, and 5 lines before it? How would we go about doing that? Well, we know it's line 120. Subtract 5, we know we want line 115. So if we do tail dash n plus, whoops, that's a pipe, plus 115. So we're going to start at line 15, and we're going to say for proxy chains 4. But if we do that, it's going to start at line 115 and give us the tail, right? So if I hit this and hit enter, it's going to go through and go from line 115 on. But that's not what I want. I only want up to and including line 120. So in order to do that, you would do head, and then you would go ahead and it is head, where am I at? There it is, dash n 6. So you're going to go from there, and then you want the next 6 lines. And there you go. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are at the examples of DNAT. And that is how you would go about getting 5 lines before. All right. So that's head, tail, line numbering, and how you can go about sifting and sorting through files. All right, so that's all well and good. But here's a question. What if we wanted to replace a term or a word in a certain file? So we're going to use the same proxy chains config, but this time we're going to take sed, and we're going to say s-proxy. We're going to look for that term, and we want to make it proxy -g etc proxy chains, and we're gonna output it to our own proxy chains 42 config file. So what we've done is we've replaced every instance of the word proxy with 3 capital letters. So if we cat that file and we grep for proxy, you will see it changed in every instance. All right, that's awesome. So now we know how to change words. But what if we didn't want to change all the words? What if we only wanted to change 1 or 2 instances? Well, in the book, it doesn't have you put this option, but things have changed, like I stated, for the way the book is written. So let's clear our screen. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to do sed, and then we're going to read the entire file in as a single line. All right, we're not going to include any new lines. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do s/proxy. And then we're going to do etc for and proxy change 42. Now, if you don't add the G as you're in, once you enter that option S or dash S, it'll only take the first instance of that word. So now, if we do that and then we cat that file, now, only the first instance of that word has been replaced. Well, what if you want to replace only the second instance? CyberWarrior, what do we do? Cyber Overlords, do you have an answer? You do? Let me tell you. Yeah. All right, cool. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take that exact same command, only we're going to add a 2 to it. So it's going to say take the second instance as opposed to the first, or all. We're going to do that. Now, if we cat it, we'll see it's the second instance in the line. So that's how you go about and use sed to replace different file or different words in your file. All right, and keep in mind this is all regex. So if you want to master regex and learn how to do this, you can actually look for different combinations of numbers, words, whatever the case may be, and learn how to replace these. This is all a regex command. All right. So moving on, what if we wanted to read a file, and we wanted to read the entire file? But we didn't want the entire thing to the screen. So head shows the beginning, tail shows the end, and cat shows everything all at once. Well, then we'd use more. So if we use more, etc proxy chains 4. Now, when it reads 1 line at a time. Now you can see we have 12% red because of the way it fills in. So we're gonna go down here, and every time we hit enter, it's gonna feed 1 more line. So we can read it line by line. And if we hit space, it's going to go an entirely new page. All right. But if you found what you wanted, you're like, okay, I know this is here. I know what it says. Let's hit Q and we're going to quit. Stays all up on your screen, but you just quit. All right. So you're no longer sifting through that file. So that's awesome. All right, great news. We know how to now read a file line by line or page by page. But what if you want to read a file and search for a certain term? Well, that's where less comes in handy. So if we use the command less and proxy chains, now we can do the same thing. We can hit enter. But what if I said we wanted to look for a term? Well, we know DNAT is here, right? So slash DNAT, and now it finds all those words within that file. So less gives you a little bit more capability for searching through a file as you're reading it. Again, this is for if you enjoy using, if you're using the terminal and want to go through all these commands. It's very valuable, especially when you're scripting and doing things of that nature. Knowing how to manipulate files within a terminal is huge. All right, especially as you go along in your cybersecurity or IT career or anything with Linux administration, Bash scripting, Python scripting, things like that. All this information comes in handy. So make sure you're keeping track of it. And if you want to get out of this, once again, you just hit quit or Q, and you're done. So that's a little bit about, this is chapter 2 of Linux Basics for Hackers right here. Wow. Like I said, I changed a few things in it so that it would actually work, because Snort is no longer in Kali and it is no longer in the Kali repository. So if you're looking at this book and you were like, oh, I need Snort, you can't install it the way it says. There's a whole nother way you need to go about doing it that is not part of this video. If you are looking for SED, look, I had to do some research on why the book wasn't matching up, and that's when I found out if you use an option, -Z, read it all in his line, it's an easy fix, okay? You're gonna find a lot of things out there that tell you different ways to do this, to utilize the SED command. Other people are gonna tell you use awk, and awk is a great command, but for the most simplest of ways and the simplest of fixes, this was the way to go. It's not the only way. There's more than one way to do a lot of things in Linux. But otherwise, look, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe down below. It's your boy, Cyber Warrior. And without further ado, the Cyber Lords, Overlords are calling, and I'm out.